Okay, hello friends. Today I would like to talk about Tom O'Neill's masterpiece, Chaos, specifically about thoughts that I've had regarding Reeve Whitson, who is mentioned in the book and who I will elaborate on shortly. Before getting into that, I would appreciate if you could maybe give me a like, give me a subscription as I grow this channel. These likes and subscriptions help tremendously, and I sincerely appreciate it. But going on. So Tom O'Neill's Chaos. Charles Manson, the CIA, and the secret history of the 60s. Anybody who's been within shouting distance of me over the last couple of years knows that I think this is one of the best books ever written, and one of the best books of journalism, I guess I should say. And also one of the most important in how it exposes and highlights the secret reality, not in the metaphysical sense, but the secret reality in the legal sense that is happening all around us at all times between intelligence agencies, legal agencies, opposing intelligence agencies, etc. It's just an incredible book. The man just deserves so much respect for what he put together. But today, specifically, I want to talk about Reeve Whitson and thoughts that I've had regarding MK because of Reeve Whitson. I don't want to spoil anything in the book, but I do want to say that one of the amazing things about O'Neill's book, I don't think this is a spoiler, this hopefully will entice some of y'all to buy this book. I don't think it'll spoil anything, but he actually discovered the person who handled Manson, and, well, actually, now this gets kind of hard. Okay, part of the book's thesis is that Manson was being used for undetermined reasons by some kind of intelligence agency, or agencies. It may have been the LAPD, may have been the CIA, may have been the FBI. To me, it looks like it was kind of a combination of all of them together, but we can't say that for sure. But what does emerge out of it is whoever was involved. There was a fellow named Reeve Whitson. We're not even sure who Whitson worked for. His own wife didn't know. And that is where he becomes an interesting character, because according to his wife and all of his friends, he was a great guy and he was a sincere patriot. He believed so much in his country, in fact, that he basically sacrificed his whole life to be part of this underground intelligence war, basically. By all accounts, he was a great husband and a great father who sincerely loved his family. But he was just very, very driven to do his job, his duty as an American. And that is where the whole story forced me to meditate on the reality of MK. If you're here, I assume you probably have some kind of idea of what MK is, but if you don't, MK was a mind control research program that ran, I believe it was from the 40s, and I think it went in through like the 80s. Now this is documented. This happened. This is not conspiracy theory. There are things that branch out of this that are conspiracy theory, assumptions that people make. But the existence of the program is documented history. It happened. Victims successfully sued the government. Bill Clinton is on camera apologizing to them. He was apologizing to them as his role as president. I think MK was already disbanded by the time he was president, so he wasn't personally apologizing for anything that he oversaw or did, but he was apologizing as the representative of the United States. Yeah, so you will have no problem finding information on MK if you choose to look it up. But so since MK has become more commonly known and discussed it's not even really a conspiracy fringe thing anymore. I mean, a lot of people are aware of it. And so as this talk has gone on, people have cast everyone who was involved in it as basically evil characters. MK was evil. And when you hear about the things that were done, they were certainly evil. Well, I can't say that anymore. And that's kind of what this is all about. It's not that simple, and I think it's too simplistic to write that off when unless you seriously consider the full context in which those events happened. Right? I mean, that's basically why I'm making this. So I want to retract that. I don't know if it is actually fair to say that it was all evil. And so my point with this, it comes back to Reeve Whitson. So by all accounts, Reeve Whitson was a good guy. Now, a lot of people, they frame MK Ultra as being essentially an anti-American thing, that these guys were out to hurt America. That's what they were doing. But that doesn't sound like Reeve Whitson. He was not out to hurt people. It sounds like he was out to save the country. And what all of this hinges upon, it really hinges upon one thing. Because what Whitson and all of those guys back there in the 60s, the 50s, who were fighting the secret intelligence war, they all always said, we're doing this because of the Soviet intelligence efforts against the United States. It was part of a war against the Soviets. And that has largely been written off because people have largely written off the very concept that there really was any Soviet intelligence campaign. But at this point, I think that's ridiculous. I mean, you have books like the Venona Project and several other things that have emerged, and I don't think it's fair at all anymore to just write off the idea that there was a serious and concerted Soviet intelligence social engineering campaign underway in the United States. I would say it would be absurd to write it off completely, though it is still debatable. It's no longer fair to just write that possibility off. And so the thing is, that creates the very uncomfortable situation where you have to reframe the entire MKUltra issue. Because if you place yourself in the shoes of someone like Reeve Whitson, who honestly is a good guy and honestly wants to do the right thing, he's looking at it as, I'm in a war, and this could be how he was looking at it. I'm not Reeve. I don't know Reeve. I'm not going to put thoughts into his head. But the picture that I have of him, and what I think placing myself into his shoes, how I would be thinking is, sometimes the ends do have to justify the means. I wish the world didn't work that way, but it does work that way sometimes. Right now we have these Soviet groups who are launching this campaign to undermine American society, and we've got to do what we got to do to win this thing. Now, that comes back to the classic debate about ends justifying the means. I get that. I am not saying that this means everything that was done in the name of MK Ultra is quote-unquote okay. But I'm saying that it's a more gray issue. It is a debatable thing. It's actually a very complicated thing. And even more complicated is that some of the people involved might have been downright heroic, you know? They were doing what they had to do to protect their country. Now, like I said, that is a debate to be had. Right now, I am not trying to settle that debate one way or the other. All I am saying is that there is a debate. It is not as simple as it's been presented up until this point. Or at least I don't believe it is. After looking at the evidence, after reading about Reeve, looking at the Manson situation, and then this is, this overlaps with, like, I also just read David Horowitz's Radical Son. He gives a little insight into that whole 60s scene, and it was not just a bunch of people with flowers in their hair. I mean, there was an organized revolutionary force. And perhaps we can have the debate and somebody could say, well, in the United States of America, people are allowed to have revolutionary forces until they, murder. Although those people did murder, but still, that's besides the point. It's outside of the context of this discussion. My point is not to try to settle the matter one way or the other. My point is purely to say that I don't think it's fair or accurate to just write the whole thing off as a evil endeavor with no possible moral justification. I think that's too easy to do, and I also just think it's inaccurate. That's about it. Reading about Reeve Whitson, I got to admit, I admired the guy. I mean, from what Tom O'Neill presented. And obviously Tom O'Neill couldn't get every angle of the guy. There's no way for Tom O'Neill to know everything about the man. But from what he found, including accounts from his ex-wife and friends and his daughter, he was a good guy. Sounds like he was a great guy, actually, an admirable, even noble human being. And so it just prompted me to rethink these things, and I think maybe we all should. And yeah, that's about it. And I would love to have this debate if anybody out there wants to have it. Not a debate, conversation. I would love to have this conversation. I find it fascinating. So that's about it. All right. Peace out. Thanks. Bye.